Aggie class of 2028 and hopefully into the A&M Wesley program. People of the annual conference, it is with hope I ask you to listen with the ears of those who need to hear the words of this generation that is called to lead us now. Let us encourage, let us connect, and let us celebrate the work of students across our conference. Please welcome Nora Koch.
Good morning. What a great day to be speaking to the Central Texas Conference. My name is Nora Koch, and I'm a member of Oakdale UMC in Stephenville. I've been involved in the United Methodist Church my entire life, and I've been serving on the district and conference levels in one form or another for the past 7 years. I'm incredibly grateful for everything that this conference has done for me throughout my faith journey, like the opportunity to speak to you today, getting to learn how to be a leader and putting those skills into practice, and serving the community around me through conference-sponsored mission projects. This year, I'm one of the co-presidents of CCYM, which stands for the Conference Council on Youth Ministries. The goal of CCYM is to lead and connect our students in the local church through intentionally inclusive faith formation and fun. This year, CCYM was able to really bounce back after the struggles that we've had in the past few years. I'm going to start with a little history. In 2020, right after the beginning of the COVID pandemic, our conference approved a large budget cut, which unfortunately included all the funding for youth ministries at the conference level. Because of this, some of our most impactful youth ministries completely stopped. We stopped offering conference mission trips. Glen Lake was forced to take over the planning and execution of winter camp since CCYM was no longer there to offer leadership and support. Then, at annual conference in 2022, the conference recognized the short-sightedness of cutting conference youth ministries and decided to reinstate the youth funding that had been lost. In 2023, the conference hired Christine Pierce to be the head of conference-level youth ministries. With Christine's leadership and guidance, we now have a functioning CCYM group again. CCYM is slowly gaining momentum. We've accomplished several things this year, and we have many plans for the future. In the forefront of our work in CCYM are the goals of the new Horizon Texas Conference. One of these goals is to champion children and youth. But what does that mean exactly? The conference states that it will strive to enrich, support, and advocate for the spiritual, emotional, and social needs of children, youth, and their families. The youth on CCYM have had a lot of discussion about what we think it truly means to champion children and youth from the perspective of youth. First, during our discussions, 1 Timothy 4:12 was frequently brought up. It says, "Don't let anyone look down on you because you are young, but set an example for the believers in speech, in conduct, in love, in faith, and in purity." Paul is writing to Timothy to encourage him in his leadership in his own local church. Through this verse, we can see that youth have been leading in the church since the very beginning of Christianity. We aren't the future leaders of our churches, we're the leaders now too. In many ways, as we consider how we might champion children and youth as a conference, we already have some success stories. First, CCYM approved a grant from the Youth Service Fund. The Youth Service Fund is money that is raised by youth and spent by youth in order to benefit youth. As we move into the future, CCYM is also brainstorming new and creative ways to raise money for YSF. A portion of all the money raised for the Youth Service Fund is also sent to the Global Fund, which helps to fund youth projects across the world. This year, a grant will be given to St. John the Apostle UMC Youth Group. They plan to use these funds to start a creation care program at their church. Through this program, the youth will educate members of the church and the community about the importance of caring for our planet. This grant will also help the youth to provide new opportunities for people to care for the planet, like recycling stations and a community garden. Congratulations to the youth of St. John the Apostle for this amazing ministry and for doing their part to maximize care and healing in their very own community. I want to encourage all youth leaders to apply for a YSF grant in order to benefit the youth at your church. Another way that we are championing children and youth is by building student leaders, which is one of the main goals of CCYM. Before COVID, one of the ways that CCYM accomplished this goal was through leadership trainings, where students were taught how to effectively lead their very own small groups. Then, at midwinter retreats every February, CCYM students would put their skills to work by leading in-depth small group discussions. This year, we've decided to accomplish the same goal in a new way. We will be having 2 leadership camps, one for middle school on July 27th and one for high school on July 18th through the 20th. I want to encourage all youth directors to come and bring along a few of your students too. The focus of these leadership camps is to equip both youth and adults with tools that you can take back to your local churches and be even better leaders in your own communities. There's so much to celebrate as we gain momentum on this path of championing children and youth, but there's still more work to be done. The youth and adults on CCYM have worked tirelessly on a resolution for this annual conference. The purpose of this resolution is to make sure that the Central Texas Conference and the new Horizon Texas Conference will always value youth and hold an important place for youth ministries. The conference can show that it values youth ministries by financially supporting them. Going forward, you will hear more about this resolution, and I hope and pray that you will give it your consideration and support. Another way that the conference can champion youth, and more specifically young adults, is to invest in college ministries. Wesley Foundations or Methodist Student Centers are great places for students to get involved after they graduate high school. What good is growing an effective youth ministry if we neglect to continue that ministry when students leave home for the first time? College ministries can help students navigate their first years away from their parents, give them a safe space to grow their faith, and help them remain connected to the church as they transition into adulthood. However, college ministries receive very little in the way of conference funding. Campus ministers are forced to spend much of their time fundraising instead of focusing on discipleship in their ministry setting. Later, we will be voting on a resolution that will help to provide more funding for college ministries. We have a unique opportunity to champion young people by supporting this resolution. Another area where we as a conference still have work to do is Glen Lake Camp. This past year, there were many students that went to summer camp or participated in winter camp at Glen Lake. In February, there were nearly 350 students and adults that attended winter camp over 2 weekends. Some students have been going to Glen Lake every summer since they can remember, and some went for the very first time this year. However, there are still so many students in our conference that cannot access the ministries that are offered at Glen Lake. For many people, going to summer camp is a huge financial expense, and many families, especially those with multiple children, struggle to afford to send their children to Glen Lake. If our conference is truly aiming to embrace diversity, then we cannot continue to exclude so many students from this transformative and life-changing experience that happens at Glen Lake. If we really want to multiply Jesus followers and prioritize our children and youth ministries, Glen Lake must be more accessible to all students from all different backgrounds. As I close today, I want to share one piece of advice that each of you can take back and implement in your own local churches. Connect with your youth. I've spent most of my time today talking about larger church ministries and the impact that they can have. And it's true, all of these ministries are vitally important. Our connection allows us the opportunity to do greater things than we can accomplish alone. However, the ministries and actions of your local church can have even greater impact on the youth of your communities. As you return to your churches, consider how you could do something small that could have an impact on a child or youth in your church. Empower a youth to lead in worship. Sign up to volunteer for a youth mission trip. Sponsor a student to go to camp. Teach a youth Bible study. Take a youth to lunch and listen to their stories. You might even learn a few things too. Encourage your youth. Get to know your youth. Champion your youth. You have the power to make an impact on all the youth in your own community. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Nora.